Yeah, I feel you, because I'm actually have a background in physics too. I didn't want to stay in academia either. So yeah, I transitioned to data science. So yeah, I know these struggle.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle right now, but I'll get there. I just need to figure out, what I need to learn, what's the right way to go about doing it, and we'll see where I can go.
So where are you based?
I'm in the United States. I'm in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
There's a lot of companies in this area, a lot of, say, oil companies, even NASA's around here too, so plenty to do.
Yeah, there are tons of jobs in the US actually for data science. There are not many people, who can take on the jobs. So yeah, it's a good market, but I felt just tough to crack. That go through the HR and then get in. That's the toughest part that I found. But once you get through it, like cracking the interview, it's straightforward.
It's gonna be the hard part.
Yeah. Now, hopefully, I'll take something away from this session, and then maybe we'll be able to help you guys out.
For sure, I'm sure anything will help out at this point. So, because I feel lost, so somebody who's been there can at least point me in the right direction.
Yeah, sounds good.
Maybe I could go next. My name is Seth, and I am a working data science professional. I work at Kmart Australia, which is a big retailer like Target in USA or a Big Bazaar in India back here. So that's about it. I'm just looking to understand a bit more about the retail space since I believe the guest Mithul is from Decathlon, right? So I wanted to. So that's basically me looking for more industry-specific insights here.
So how long have you been a data scientist for?
I've been a data scientist for maybe more than 1.5 years as full time, and then maybe 2 years if you include freelancing and learning and internships and things like that.
Okay. Yes. Cool. Yeah, so here I'll be briefly talking more on for the beginners, give them direction as to the different roles in data science and what they should expect, and the flow in data science and how it differs depending on the company as well as depending on what kind of data scientist you are, and then personally share my experience of me as a data scientist at Decathlon Canada, the flow that we take because of the kind of team that we have, right? And the different roles that we have. So I'll share my experience on that since Decathlon is also a retailer, sports retailer. So,
Right. Cool. I'm looking forward to this to be useful for everyone. Thank you for hosting this, Ayush.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. So we decided to do this. So originally it was Ashwet who was planning on doing these sessions, and then I saw his LinkedIn post, so I was like, well, can I collaborate on this? Because I get a lot of people who message me, and people want to transition to data science because they've seen that I come from a non-computer science background too, and like how I got in, right? So that's why I share my experience, and then I'll see if I can help them out in any way I can. So I thought, well, if someone's doing this session, I was like, I'll just jump in, and then maybe we can turn this into something, and then help out more people in one go rather than helping individually. Talking to them individually, it's better to just host a session and then talk to everyone. And then afterwards, try and host sessions that people are interested in, and then bring in people who are not from computer science background and how they break into data science, and then share their journey and experience too. So that was the whole idea for basically coming up with this sessions, and then we're planning on doing some more of this. Yeah, and then interact with people, because obviously it's for people, right, at the end of the day. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. As a person similar to your case, where I also was not from a computer science background, I majored in mechanical engineering. I understand how difficult it can be to enter the industry, and it is a tough journey, right? But it has a good payoff. So yeah, thank you for doing this for people who are early on in that journey.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, I think we should start the session.
Yes.
It's 9:50. Yeah, hi there. I think whoever joined just now.
Shubhankar has joined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just share my screen, and yeah, you can let me know whenever you want to move on to the next slide. Okay. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so I'm just going to mute myself. You can take over.
Yeah. So hi everyone. Hi Shubhankar. Hi Jacob. Hi Seth. So basically, we are conducting this session just trying to help you guys either transition into data science, or if you're already in data science, then probably give a whole overview of what exactly is data science about, right? Yeah. Please go to the next slide. Yeah, so a little bit about me. So I am a civil engineer by background. I did my civil engineering back in 2021 uh, in IIT Bombay in India. And during, I think, my first or second year, I found a passion in data science. Did a couple of projects, and yeah, just kind of liked it, and uh, did a lot more projects after that, and that's how I got into data science. Uh, Also, I ended up writing a patent for master data management back in, I think, my third year. And currently, I'm working as a data scientist at Pyramid Finance. So it is basically a lending company. So it is mostly a fintech kind of role. Yeah. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So yeah, I think it's better if you introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone. So I'm Mithul Patel. So my background is actually in theoretical physics. So again, I come from a computer science background, and I actually came across data science when I was in my final year of grad school. I was talking to a friend of mine who was finishing up his grad school, and then asked him if he was going into academia, and he was like, "No, I'm going to data science." So that's the first time I heard about data science. And then I had 1 year until my graduation, and I decided basically to take that 1 year, learn about data science, whatever I can, and then basically try and apply for jobs and see if I can land a job. And I didn't have anyone to actually guide me through, what are the right courses that I need to take, and what are the things I should be focusing on. So I spent a lot of time basically taking, more than 20 courses to learn about data science. Applied for almost 8 months actually for jobs. Did maybe 10 to 15 interviews, and 10 to 15 interviews just first round, maybe 3 to 4 of them where I made it through the first round. And that was again because I didn't have any experience, I didn't have any portfolio to show, other than the projects that I did when I was taking courses. So the projects basically outside the courses that you take matters a lot, because that shows the recruiter that you're capable of basically doing things, and about data science. And it's a way to just show that, okay, you do have some experience in data science, right? So luckily I ended up getting a job at the same university where I graduated from. and that was in healthcare. Started working out as a data analyst. That should have been, yeah, data analyst. But mostly I was working with large-scale data in healthcare from US and Canada. So I tried to apply as much data science there as possible. I had a really great boss who helped me out in the journey, and that's where I picked up R. So I knew Python because I was learning Python when I was in grad school. That was mostly for the data science part. But then I picked up R because in healthcare, a lot of people prefer R. And yeah, I got basically learned R. I got confidence to code in R. My confidence level in coding boosted a bit because of that. And then moving on, started working at another university in the physics department. And this was on basically classifying the different types of northern lights that you can see. So this was more on machine learning, deep learning, rather than doing the actual data analysis, which you would do if you were in industry like a retail market or something. But this was more hard-coded a machine learning engineer role. And then I switched to Decathlon Canada. So this is the first time I made it through the interview in industry, right? So these two jobs were in academia, and then I cracked it in industry, and it was very different working in industry as compared to academia. There was a lot of things that I had to learn, but again, I have a really great boss and a really good team at Decathlon, and they helped me out in the journey. And I picked up a lot of things in the first 3 months of my probation period. And yeah, every single day that I went to work, I learned something new. And so that's what I want to share with you guys today. So let me start with data science. So what is data science, right? When people hear the term data science, the first thing that comes to their mind, like this again for beginners, is building machine learning models, right? So that's what I thought when I started learning data science, right? People want to just jump in and then build fancy models. But data science is actually more than just doing model building. You're basically spending 5% of your time just doing model building, actually. And 20% of your time goes into understanding the business problem, right? So what is it that you're trying to solve, right? What kind of problem the business is facing, and how can you use data science to resolve that and in a way create a value for the company, right? Because that's what matters. Company cares about what value you can bring in from the data science perspective and basically revenue that you can generate. Okay. And then 60% of your time is actually working on the data itself. Right? So from getting hold of the right data from your database, and then doing some pre-processing, cleaning, right? And if you're doing a model building part, you'd be doing the model building part in that as well. Right? That's 5% of your time. And then the final 15% is spent on presenting your results to your stakeholders, or if you're working with, so at the retail market, in the retail industry, I work with supply chain, I work with the marketing team. So you have different kind of people who require different things. So you're providing insights to them, and there are different ways of providing insights. So here we provide insights through reports. Sometimes they prefer dashboards, right? And if they don't have time, if they don't want to go and play with the dashboards, they will usually prefer having an email sent out to them, right? So then you'll have everything sent out in an email, so you'll have to design the email and all that. And then, have a really nice table in the email, so you have to do, again, some analysis, cleaning and all that to get it into the right format. So that's, again, 15% of your time should be spent on that. So that's an overall data science journey, if you like, right? So it's not just machine learning. So there are different types of.
I'd like to add something here.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, go ahead.
So, and this is especially true for, I think, the entry levels or the early stages of data science career. Uh, I'm audible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, especially if it is a non-research kind of a role. When you go to a research kind of a role, I think model building has a lot more percentage of takes up a lot more percentage of your time. So I think that would go up from 5% to I think 20%, because then you will be building custom models and everything, and but still handling your data, gathering your data, and working with your data, that still takes up a majority of your time. Yeah, please go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
So yeah, depending on, I think, what kind of role you're in, right? The numbers here would change, right? So if you're a machine learning engineer, then you're doing a lot of model building and deployment, right? So then you'd have a data scientist who would be doing the analysis part and all that, right? So again, depending on what kind of role you're in, like these flow would change. But again, so this is based off what I do, right, as a data scientist and the things that I work on. That's the roughly amount of time that I usually spend on it, right? So just to give you a brief overview. Yeah. Okay. So next slide. So there are many different types of data roles, right? And so initially, when I was applying for jobs, I was studying data science, but I was applying for data engineering roles because I didn't know the barrier between, what does a data engineer do and what does a data scientist do, right? So I even went to an interview for the data engineer role where I was talking about model building, doing data analysis, right? And obviously, the person who was interviewing me looked at me. I was like, okay, I don't know what he's here for, right? So it's really important to know the distinction between the different types of roles. And I think going forward, there's going to be more roles on the data side. Right? If you look back 5 years ago, data science was booming, right? Everyone wanted to be a data scientist. But now I see the trend that a lot of people want to go into data engineering, right? Because again, companies are now realizing the value of data, right? Now, if they know the value of data, obviously they want to do data science. But in order to do the data science and then, make use of the value of your data, you need data engineers to build the entire infrastructure and everything, right? So without them, this entire flow breaks, right? You won't have data scientists, you won't have machine learning engineers, and so on. And what I feel in the next 5 years is there's going to be tons of jobs in machine learning engineer. Even now, I see a lot of jobs in machine learning engineer, but also DevOps and MLOps. Because, as companies build models, they also want to deploy, right? So there's going to be a stage where we already have a model, now what do we do, right? So then the companies are going to focus on, okay, deployment side, right? They're going to spend money on deployment side. So I feel like in the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be tons of jobs on that side as well. So it's good to, if you're a data scientist already and have 3 years of experience, like it's good to learn about DevOps and MLOps. If you want to switch career or if you want to try applying that at your workplace. And that's something that I do at my workplace right now. So at Decathlon Canada, we are the machine learning engineers too. So we do the deployment as well ourselves. So I try and spend my time on the deployments as well. Basically convincing my boss, and because my boss is really good, I get to work on many different things and basically things that I'm interested in, right? But also making sure that the job gets done and I'm actually creating value in the company, right? So moving on to the next one. So I'll deep dive into a data engineer role and the data scientist role, and a little bit about how the flow changes for a machine learning engineer role, right? So this is a common pattern that you would see in a data engineering role. And this is again a brief just overview Because I'm not a data engineer, I wouldn't be able to tell you every single exact details. But again, looking from above, right? This is the flow, right? So what does a data engineer do, right? The job of data engineer is go and work with many different types of data, collect those data, build a pipeline, right, where they can actually store that data, and also create databases, create tables, different schemas in the databases, right, where they can and also find a way to connect the different tables in the databases, right? So you have the ETL process, extract, transform, load, right? So this is the entire flow. Well, they would have the different data sets that comes in. They would have to do some pre-processing and so on, and then you get the output, right? And then this output is used by data scientists, right? So the data lies in some data lake or data warehouse, right? And the data scientist comes in and then pulls out whatever data that they need, right? So this again, the flow for data engineer. Is there anything you want to add? Do you want to add anything? Yes. Okay, so data science workflow. So this is the brief overview of the data science workflow. And again, this changes depending on the different projects you work on. And mostly you're going back and forth between the different things here that you see, the different blocks you see here, right? The first thing first is the business problem, right? So any project that comes in, it comes in with the problem that you're trying to solve, right? And then translating that problem into a data problem, right? Trying to understand what data do we have in our database, right? And these data exist in different tables, right? And there could be 10 tables, 20 tables, right? But a data engineer usually creates a data catalog, right, which is basically a documentation about each table and what are, let's say, what are the columns that exist or what are the features that exist in each of these tables, right? So it would be good to know for a data scientist to know the data catalog, right, and then keep it handy because you're going to have to go and pull data from the data warehouse, right, anytime you have a business problem to solve. So the first thing is understanding the business problem, right, and then getting hold of the data, getting hold of the right data, basically. Right? And then once you get hold of the right data, and this is where SQL comes in, right, because now you're working with database. So if you're going to work with database, you got to know SQL. Right? And once you get hold of the data, then you can do pre-processing in whatever programming language you like, right? Python or R, depending on what the company uses. Pre-processing and then figure out what is it that you're trying to solve, right? And what do you expect as an output, right? Sometimes you know, like by intuition, what is the output that I'm expecting, right? So it's good to have a hypothesis, right? And then plot, do graphs, do whatever you like to get an insight in your data. Okay, try and understand what the data is telling you, right? And then once you have that part, which is the experimentation part here, block 2, you go to finally presenting the data to whoever you're reporting to, right? Now it could be in the form of reports, like I said. Some people prefer having an email sent out to them by every week, right? So it can be in the form of report or it can be in the form of dashboards, right? People love dashboards, right? Because they look pretty, but also you can interact with the dashboard, and there's a lot you can extract from the dashboard, right? So having a really nice dashboard with the key KPIs is important, right? The KPI is the key on the dashboard. Because that's what you're trying to, because that's what tells them, right? Whatever the problem you're trying to solve, that's what tells them how they're doing it, right? So as an example, I think at one, right, we have dashboard for, let's say, a time series problem where basically we're trying to project revenue, right, for a year from now. So that every single week we would have like, okay, what's been the total revenue up until the date? What's the projected revenue from, let's say, today to up to a year, right? And then we would have how much sales did we make, right, up until now, and then how much we're planning on making in a year from now. So always whenever you try to solve any data science problem, keep in mind the metrics and basically solve the problem based on that. Right? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, so basically a KPI is any number that a business cares about. So it can be revenue, it can be sales, the number of sales, it can be profits. So basically any sort of a number that the business cares about. Yeah.
Okay. So as I said before, the flow of this changes again depending on what is it that you do, right? So at my company, we have this flow, but also we have this flow, and because we are the ones who also do deployment. So whenever we have like time series problems, or when we are working with clients such as retail marketing or supply chain, right, where they want an email getting sent out to them every week, this is the flow that we follow, right? Because then that's essentially your deployment, right? But when you're doing hardcore machine learning, right? You're building machine learning models on large scale, or you're building deep learning models on large scale, then you need to have a deployment infrastructure as well, right? And this is how the flow then changes, right? So at the end, you'll have to do some integration test. You will have to also do some deployments. Now that could be on cloud services, right? So for Google Cloud, you can use Kubernetes. You would also have Docker containers that you would create, right? So again, this flow, and then you have tools for monitoring and logging as well, right? Because you wanna keep track of the data drift, right, or how your model is doing when the new data comes in, right? So there's this entire flow of MLOps that you will also have to focus on. And again, this is a typical machine learning engineering role, and this would be the workflow for that. Yeah, anything
Right. So
you want to add?
yeah. So basically, most companies have separate roles for all these things. So I'll take an example of my company. So at Piramal, we have a separate role for a data scientist, a separate role for a data engineer, and we also have in the tech team we have DevOps, and we are slowly building up MLOps as well. So currently, the data scientists and the data engineers together do the deployments. So basically, they are the MLOps team. But some bigger companies, some matured companies can have a separate MLOps role. So basically, they will basically take the models and the data from the data scientists and put it into production so that it can be used at a large scale.
Yeah. Yeah, so sometimes you also have like software engineers who would be working on the machine learning engineering side. But I feel like if a software engineer doesn't know, doesn't have a knowledge about data science, then sometimes it's a lot of work for a data scientist to also, jump into their role and then help them out, because these models, whenever you have new data that comes in, right, you also need to focus on the pre-processing steps that you have done on your training set, right? And if a software engineer doesn't have a knowledge about the data science side, then obviously he or she doesn't know what are the pre-processing steps to take and so on, right? So it's good to have basically, if you're a software engineer, good to have a little bit of knowledge about data science as well, if you're thinking about going into data science and working with the deployment side, right? And I think I've seen, a lot of like data science, software engineers who take on this role, also the data engineering role, but also having a little bit of knowledge about data science. That helps a lot. Right. And actually, I love this slide because I can relate to it. And you can go on this article here to read more. But so here's the thing, right? So when you first start learning about data science, you go and take online courses, right? As an example, everyone knows DataCamp, right? So you go take online courses, and there they give you instructions, right? And because they give you instructions, a lot of the work that goes in is actually done by the instructor, and you're just following the instructions, right? And then you finish off the course with the confidence that, you know data science, right? But in reality, because you were given instructions, it was easy for you, right? And this is a mistake that I did when I was first learning my data science, right? I spent 6 to 7 months or more just taking courses and not doing any projects myself. So me, at the end of 6 to 7 months, I was like, okay, I know data science. But then if I have to work on a project by myself, come up with a project, and then do everything from scratch, right? Then basically I fall into this category. My confidence drops, right? Why? Because here I was given instructions, so I know what is it that I'm like the outcome that I'm expecting, right? And I exactly know what to code, right? But when you work on your own projects, you don't know the outcome, and you have to make decisions yourself, right? And if you're working on a project, and let's take some machine learning project where you ended up with 99 point some percent accuracy of your model, right? Then you have to decide whether is it real, or did I do something wrong in the process, right? Because when you put it into production, you're going to see that value is going to drop by a huge amount. And if you've done a mistake, right, when you're working or when you're going through the entire analysis, you're not going to catch it until you deploy the model, and then you see that, oh, the model is doing 50%, whereas when I trained it is 99.7%, right? So I would encourage people to go take online courses, but also spend some time coming up with your own projects and actually hard coding it. So code yourself, make decisions yourself. Just imagine imagine yourself as a freelancer working for a client, right? What are the approaches that you would take in order to solve a problem, or what decisions you would make, right? And in reality, right, when you're working in industry, this is where you spend a lot of time, right? Now, as you keep on doing a lot of projects for your portfolio, right, you're going to build confidence, right? You're going to get better at coding. So I'm a physicist by background. I mostly used Mathematica and MATLAB when I was in grad school. So Python was something that I learned because I wanted to go into data science, right? And I wasn't confident coding. I used to get interviews, and for some interviews, I would get assignments to do, and sometimes the assignments I would stick to the assignments and I would do it, and because I would finish the assignment myself, right, spending a week, I get confidence in coding because I've practiced, and I know what I did, right? And then I would actually go out to companies. Even if I get rejected, I would ask them for feedback, right? And obviously, not every single company would give you feedback. I had a couple of companies who gave me feedback, and they told me how I did. And I was so happy when they told me, like, okay, you're in top 5, but you didn't get selected because we had other experienced people. But knowing that you ended up in top 5 with no experience and not having enough experience in coding, that boosts up your confidence level, right? Because now, oh, I can code, I can do something, right? As you keep on doing more and more projects, right, your confidence goes up, and that's when you will be like, okay, I'm ready for applying for jobs or cracking the interviews. Right? So I would say spend a lot of time doing projects, spend least amount of time on just courses, just know the basics, learn the basics from the courses, but do it yourself. And as you do more projects, you're going to learn more. Okay? So you don't need to know everything about data science. Okay? I didn't know every single thing about data science. I still don't know every single thing about data science. Like, I'm still learning in process. So you don't have to know every single thing. I know recruiters are looking for superheroes, right? Because they have lists of things on the job descriptions. You need to know this. But still, don't let yourself down because of that, right? Keep learning, keep doing projects, and you'll just learn as you keep doing projects. And also, so I used to spend a lot of time learning the math behind data science because I thought, okay, if I want to be a data scientist, I need to know every single mathematical details about the algorithms and so on. And that is not true, right? Me being a data scientist at Decathlon now, I don't implement fancy machine learning models at work. Okay, I don't care about 98% accuracy. Right? Companies care about basically if you can build something really quick and put it into production. Right? So that's what I was still buying for. Okay. So that's what companies care about, right? So have an MVP product, right? Quickly build something, put it to production, right? Present it to the users, get their feedback, and then improve. Okay, that's how industry works. So don't try and build, or don't try and do like, oh, okay, I'm going to keep on working on this. I'm not going to deploy until I end up with 99% accuracy. Okay. And that's something that I learned when I ended up in industry. So now I work on time series, a lot of time series projects. Again, I don't use a lot of fancy models. Right? I pick something that's going to work, that's going to generate value, and then boom, put it into production, and then keep improving, keep monitoring it. That's it. And again, you don't need to know the entire mathematical details. Know the basics so they can explain, know what's going on, and that's it. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think doing projects is what gave me also the confidence back in college. So when you do every step of the process by yourself, from let's say scraping the data to uh, making manipulating the data to convert it into a useful form, and then you jump into the modeling part, and after that you try to deploy it somewhere on the cloud. So I think that is where the real learning happens. Also, I think Mithil, this meet will end in some time. I think should we shift to Google Meet? I
Oh,
think
right now? How
yeah,
much time?
yeah. I think in 3 or 4 minutes, I think it will end.
Okay, let me try and finish this quickly. And
Yeah,
then there's a link there. So if people want to, again, join, you can join on there. Yeah, sorry about this because there's a time limit on Teams. It's only 60 minutes. That's allowed. So, yeah. So, yeah, if we drop the call in between, just jump on the other link.
yeah. So I've sent the link in this chat only. So if this ends, I think everyone let's jump on that.
Yeah. Okay, so some of the tools that you as a data scientist need to know, again, don't need to know everything right from the beginning, right? Build projects where you can try and use these tools so that way you can learn, right? Python, it's at the top in data science, right? And also at the production level. So definitely would say spend a lot of time learning Python. R, you can do things in R too. So I use Python and R at work. There's a language called Julia as well. I don't really know how at what level it is for data science, so I just put it out there. I've heard that it is faster as well. So I'm not sure how faster it is compared to Python and R. And then SQL, definitely you need to know SQL because without SQL, you cannot get hold of data, right? So you definitely know SQL. GitHub for collaboration, everything happens on GitHub, right? So you need to know GitHub. And then if you want to do a lot of CI/CD, so continuous integration and continuous deployment, so this is where, I'm working on a project where I need to send an email to a marketing team every single week. I'm not going to do it manually, right? I will automate it. So for that, I'm going to use tools which will help me out automating it, right? So Jenkins is a CI/CD tool that you can use where you can schedule so that your Python script from GitHub gets run on a scheduled date and time, and then it does the job itself, right? And then you have Docker and Kubernetes. This is again more on the DevOps side and the deployment side. Yeah, when you're putting machine learning models into production, these tools are helpful, especially Kubernetes. Some cloud tools that you need to know. Cloud computing, we have GCP, the Google Cloud Platform, AWS, and then Microsoft Azure. Now, I personally use GCP and AWS, and I'll definitely say spend your time on learning AWS because I see that a lot of companies use AWS. So learn about AWS, learn about Amazon S3 bucket, learn about EC2 instance, all right? And I think there are more than 200 plus services offered on AWS, but you don't need to know every single thing. Just few of them, right? Like S3, you need to know that because that's where you're going to store your process data. And Redshift, because that's where data engineers store the data. So that's where you'll be using SQL to extract data. So these are two things that I personally use in my workplace. So it's that. And then Google Cloud Platform, yeah, we do actually deploy and everything on Google Cloud Platform. So if you want to learn about that, you can do the same exact thing on GCP as well. I don't have a lot to say about Microsoft Azure because I don't use it, but yeah, that exists as well. Anything you want to add to this?
I think just seeing all of these together can be a bit overwhelming. So I think if you are looking to just start, I think you should start with Python and then jump onto SQL. And after that, if you get comfortable enough soon, you should start with, I think, GitHub and Docker. And on the deployment side, I think you can just pick up AWS, just learn. So just for just for start, I think you should know how to work with S3 buckets. So S3 is basically a storage service where you can just store anything, and it is infinitely scalable. Uh, and after that, to compute on the cloud, I think you should know how to use Elastic Compute. So basically, that is EC2. Uh, for machine learning workflows, I think Amazon SageMaker is really good. So it provides a whole workflow and a whole template for you. So I think you can go on to that if you are looking for. Yeah.
Okay. So from here, it's gonna be Ashit who's gonna take
Right. I
over.
think let's jump on that meet now. So we can continue there.
Okay. So yeah, if you guys don't mind, there's a link in the chat. Just to make sure, can everyone see the link in the chat? Someone can unmute themselves and just say yes or no. Okay. Okay, sweet. So yeah, if you guys don't mind, you can jump on that link because I think here it's gonna be done soon. Because I think it's already an hour. So yeah, so we'll be on that link. So we'll catch you guys there. Okay.
Yeah. Pradeep has already joined.
Okay. So okay. So everyone can hear us.
I think
Yes.
one
Okay.
person is still in that meet. Let me just remove him.
I think we're still waiting for a couple of people, so we'll just give a couple of minutes and then we'll start again.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we can start now.
Okay. So at this point, so I just want to wait and see if people have any questions on the data science side before we jump on to how to apply for a job, resumes, and so on. So yeah, people can send questions. What's happening? Saki was really weird, so I didn't try there. Not sure. So there is a 60-minute time limit on Google Meet as well. So we were not sure originally like which platform to use. So yeah, that's why we selected Teams because we thought a lot of people might be using Teams. But yeah, from next time onwards, we're planning on doing it on Google Meet.
Yeah. I think we wanted to record the meet. That's why we started on Teams. But then it turned out that we couldn't record there as well.
Yeah, that was another thing. So we need to have a corporate account in order to do the recording. So probably I'll have to use mine next time. So yeah, so next time we'll make sure we don't have to go through this pain again. So yeah, feel free to ask any data science related questions that you have at this point, and then we can continue with a couple more things. So yeah, I'll just wait 5 minutes if you guys have any questions. No questions? Okay, so I guess we can then continue if there's no questions at this time.
I think I'll start sharing it now.
Yeah, sure, you can start sharing it.
Is it visible now?
Yeah, I think some people are still stuck on the other
Uh,
thing.
no, that ended. So they must be kicked out by now. Right. So I think Mithul has covered a lot of stuff on, I think, the data science part uh, after you get the job. So I think if you are still not in the job, I think these slides are for you. So basically, how do you even start applying for a job, right? I think that is a big challenge that people face, especially the freshers or the people who are looking to transition into it. So basically, if you look at the easy apply option on LinkedIn or maybe other websites, whatever websites you have, so that doesn't really work for everyone. So basically, thousands of people apply on those websites every single day, and if a company is famous or if people know about the company, then I think the 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 person who is hiring at that company won't even look at the applications from there. So so I think you have a minuscule chance of getting a job if you apply there, right? So I think so what has worked for me, and I've also seen it work for a lot of people, is that uh, first just choose the company that you want to work for, approach the employees on LinkedIn and just ask to connect with them. Just ask about their work, what exactly is it that they do, and just try to get a fit for you, right? uh, so the kind of role that the company offers, it might not be exactly what you're looking for. So I think you'll only get to know that after you start talking to the people who currently work in that role. So I think just approach the employees on LinkedIn and figure out whether it is the right fit for you, and then you should ask for a referral, or you should ask for them to connect you with the hiring manager. So I think that is the best way to apply on LinkedIn. And after that, you'll have to send your resume uh, sooner or later, right? So I think people really struggle to create a clean resume. So I'll show you my resume back from college. So that's when I was transitioning into data science. I'll share that. Let me know when it is visible.
I can see now.
Yes. So basically, this was my final year resume back in college. So I chose to make it in LaTeX and just tried to fit in as much information as I could in as little space as I could. So I think a single page resume is the best choice for at least the uh, early professionals, or if you are looking to transition, because no one really has the time to read a two-page resume. So I've also seen some people who make just really long resumes, like 2 or 2.5 pages, while they are entering into it, and they just mention each and everything they have done in their life, right? So that doesn't really work right now. So I think so. Some key points that I'd like to mention is try to keep it as clean as possible. So, for example, all the each and every point is ending in a single line. There is no point that is uh, spilling on to the next line, or there's no point which is uh, ending midway of the line, right? Also, try to include some metrics or some numbers in each and every point, and keep it onto the left of that point, so that someone doesn't get bored uh, while reading the sentence. So here you can see that I mentioned this accuracy thing. Here I've mentioned expected time reduction. So And also try to bold some important keywords so that the eye catches that first. Also, yeah, another thing can be that keep a uniform format for each and every section of your resume. So if you are going with like the company name, the project name, and the duration, so just keep the similar format for each and every section, right? So that really creates some uniformity and it is a bit pleasing to the eye than otherwise. Let me go back to the slides. Yeah, so I think I've covered each of the points here. So basically, have a clean format. Don't just try not to waste any space. And yeah, you should have some personal projects ideally. So that is, I think, how you can show that whatever you have learned. And also, try not to do the really popular projects that everyone does. So, for example, you have that Titanic data set, or you have the iris flower classification, right? So try not to do those because people are really sick of seeing that everywhere. Try to keep it one page long, uh, and especially if you are fresher, and also try to mention some numbers in each point. After, I think if you get an interview, I think most of the fresher interview are like this. So there will be some problem solving, right? So they can give you a case study, they can give you a business problem, and they'll ask you to formulate a data science problem out of it. Also, you have to know basic Python and SQL if it is a coding round, so, because that is actually what you do in your day-to-day job. If you have some previous experience not in data science, I think you could be asked how does that relate to data science, or how could you do that job better using some data, and also your projects. Yeah, I think that is it. Mithul, if you have something to add.
Sure. So firstly, I think there's a lot of people who we missed because they were trying to join on the other one. So yeah, really bad decision. Uh, so yeah, we'll try and fix that. For the interview process, and again in India, I'm not entirely sure how it works because I don't work in India. So I don't know the market and what kind of things that people look for. But just to provide my insight is I would say go do projects, create a portfolio, and it's really easy to create a portfolio, right? So you can create a GitHub page and then have your projects displayed on the GitHub page, and then you can share that link when you're applying for jobs. Have that link in your resume. Okay. And as covered by Ashit, everything he mentioned there, right? It's good to have a single page resume, and you don't need to put in every single detail, right? You don't need to write, 10 paragraph about a particular project. Just highlight key points, like what were you able to achieve during this project, and how did you resolve your problem, right? Or how did you create value? So just have that thing listed, because when you go for an interview, that's when you're gonna talk about your project in detail, right? And again, no one's gonna read. Like, people don't have time to actually read every single resume, right? At least some people, like some companies, they do look at the resumes, but Also, there are softwares that scans through your resume. So it's always good to have just the key points from your job description on your resume, right? And also, now don't lie a lot on your resume. Just have things on your resume that you know, like the tools that you know, right? Because when you go for an interview and they will ask you about a particular thing that you added on your resume, and if you don't know, you just lied, then basically you're out, right? So try not to, instead of lying, just do the project, right? There's a particular tool that a company is looking for. What I usually do is, I look at the job description and I see a tool that a company is looking for, and I don't know that tool. And I know, like, if I apply for this job, how long it's gonna be roughly until I'm gonna have an interview, right? If I'm gonna have an interview, right? So what I do is I apply for a job, and then quickly I spend an hour or two of my time just learning the basics of that tool. So then when I get an interview call, because I know the very first call, it's gonna be from HR, right? Once you back the HR call, then you go to a technical round, right? So if you just say, okay, I know this tool, like the basics, you just go through the HR, right? And by the time you reach to the technical round, just make sure that you know that tool, right? And you've done a project where you've implemented that tool, right? And what's the best way of learning any kind of tool? The best way of learning any tool is by actually doing a project and trying to use it in your project, right? Now, have a really simple data set ready, always keep it in hand, right? And if there's anything that you want to learn, right, just use that data set and then try, implementing that tool on that data set, right? That's the best way to learn. And then once you're confident, right, then you can start applying that on any other, projects you're doing, right? Where you're working with a massive amount of data. Right? So always start from small, and that's what I do every single day. Things that I learn, I have a really small data set handy where I know what I'm expecting at the end of the day, and I just apply that tool and then try and use it, and then see how it works, and then I try and implement it at work. And that's how you're gonna learn new skills, and that's how you're gonna keep up with the market, right? The market is changing, and you're in a field which is changing every now and then, right? So you have to keep up with the many tools that's coming out, and you have to keep up with the talent that's coming out, right? There's a lot of people that are trying to get into data science, so you're competing with a lot of people. So you have to be better than them, and the only way to be better than them is basically doing your own projects, trying to skill up yourself, right? And then keep on updating your resume, right? And then write a blog post, right? Or engage on LinkedIn, right? There are a lot of things that you can do. As a beginner, that's the best way. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I think since we are at the end of the presentation.
So, Aditi, Jake, Pradeep, if you have any questions.
It's not really a question, it's more just your emphasis on projects is something that I probably need to be doing a little bit more with my time. I figured that was, I already gotten some information from other friends of mine who've gone into data science, and they said to work on some projects, and that's probably what I need to do a little bit more. So it's coming up with good topics to try to do. But like you said, not to do the ones from like most popular ones, like once going to Kaggle and just doing the ones that they want you to do there. So I got to figure out something unique and try and work it out. I'll probably spend more of my time doing that.
Yeah. So the well-known projects and the well-known data sets. I personally, what I do is I use those data sets just when I'm learning any new tool, and then I just use those data sets because I already know that those data sets, right? And then I know how clean they are, right? So if I'm learning any new tool, I usually just use those data sets and then learn the tool that I need to learn. But yeah, when you're basically creating your own portfolio and the projects, then it's a bad thing to use those data sets. And I've seen the talks on LinkedIn where people nobody cares about those data sets anymore, and no one really wanna. Okay, if you have the resume, no one wanna look at your resume either, right? Because people will literally go out and then steal other people's projects who have done it end to end, and then just show them that they've done it, right? So that's the reason why I encourage people to go and get hold of data, and that's something that we both are planning on doing in the future sessions. So we are not there yet. So we are in a couple of months. What we want to start is basically have 3 to 4 people who wants to do end-to-end project work with us, and then we'll basically help them doing an end-to-end project where you go out yourself, go get the data, and again it's going to be different than traditional courses on Udemy or Coursera or whatever, right? Now there you have instructors teaching you, right, and then basically you're done. But here it's going to be an effort from both sides, right? We don't want to give you every single thing that we require, but rather we'll guide you and then have you do the work because you need to know how to do it, right? So it's a different way of doing projects that we just came up with that idea. And then you'd go out, go get the data. So me personally, because I have experience in computer vision, time series analysis, so I'm thinking about coming up with some projects on those 2 areas. Actually, we'll come up with projects on some other areas, and we both will plan on have 3 to 4 people, and then we'll just guide them so they can work with us for a couple of months, and then we'll be like, okay, let's go get hold of the data from somewhere. We could go web scrape data, right? So you'll be able to learn about web scraping, and then something like computer vision where you also have to label the data, right? So then you would learn about data labeling. How would you do data labeling, right? And then you would learn about building an end-to-end model, right? And then how do you. And the other important thing that I should have highlighted in the slides, which I recall now, is on the coding side, right? Now, a lot of companies expect you to be a better programmer and try and use the software engineering principles, right? So people stick to Jupyter notebooks. Right? And then it's all messy, right? There's no documentation. And people are just randomly coding in Jupyter notebooks. There's no flow, right? And in the industry, you go away from Jupyter notebook to something like an IDE, right? Now, we do things in Jupyter notebook, but that's because you're building something, right? So that's where Jupyter notebook comes in, because you're doing experimentation and so on. Now, once you have a working model, once you have every single thing that you need, you convert your code into functions, right? So it's more like a modular code now, right? So you have functions, you have classes, and you have .py scripts now, right, for Python. And now you have documentation as well, right, for the script, because you have doc strings, right? And also you have functions where for every single task, you've written different functions. So anytime a code breaks, you know exactly which function to go to, right? And that's how you debug code, rather than spending hours and hours trying to see where you went wrong in 1,000 lines of code, right? And you keep logs, right? So there's a best practice. You can have, in Python we do print, right? Now instead of doing print, there's a library called logging, and that's used to keep track of logs. So every single time you run functions, there's a log, right? And then whenever you see that, oh, this log is incomplete, you know exactly like, okay, this is where my function didn't work, and this is where there's a bug. And I'll go out and then fix it within 10 minutes, right? So that's the best practices. And the other thing is test-driven development, right? Again, software engineering principles. Writing tests for your code. That's another thing that we actually advocate on. We started doing it. So that's, again, a very important skill to have. So I see a lot of now data engineering principles coming into data science. So, portfolio, it's good to have a portfolio, but also if you can do in a way, like following best practices, that's going to help you a lot in your career. And that's going to help you a lot when you get assignments, right, as part of interviews, because then they can see like, oh, the process they've taken. They're going to ask you for your code and everything. And that's going to help you a lot. And that's something which, for few interviews, I ended up in top 5. That's because I was only into Jupyter Notebook. There were people who were a little bit better than me because they have experience, right? And so that's what I lacked, right? So then I know exactly what to do and so on, right? So this is something that we both, when we do the projects with people that we're doing, this is something that we're gonna make them do as well. And then you learn about deployment, right? So you learn about coding itself, you learn about model building, you also learn about following best practices, and at the end, you'll also learn about deployments. How do you deploy models? Where do you deploy models? Right? So we are planning on coming up with some projects and so on. But that's going to take a couple of months because we just started this thing. But for the next 2 months, we are planning on having more sessions where we're planning on bringing more people from non-computer science backgrounds, right? Because the whole thing about these sessions are, we don't want to invite people who are well known in data science, and then because they give talks everywhere, right? But we want to bring in people who struggled, like in the journey, just like we did. It's like, actually was lucky because he was from IIT, so he could land a job. But for me, it took me 8 months, right? So yeah, that's why we're planning to get people who struggled and who now work as a data scientist, and then share their experience and have them interact with you, and then share, basically provide whatever they can to help you in your journey. Hopefully that, I talked a lot, but hopefully that makes sense.
No, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a question. So how do you think I should approach job search? Because I have 5 years of gap. So I think since you had a 5-year gap, I think it'd be the same process as any beginner who's trying to get into data science or yeah. So it's similar to as someone who's trying to break into data science. The market changes a lot, right? And if you're out of the market for even a couple of years, that's going to put you basically down the line, because there's new people, every year new graduates come in, and there's so much competition in the market. So the people that I went to grad school with, so friends of mine, they wanted to get into data science, but they couldn't initially. They tried to search a job for 6 months, 7 months after graduation. They couldn't find any data science jobs. Okay, and because they also had to do the immigration stuff. They ended up working at things like Tim Hortons and so on. And so because of that, they were out of the market. Like I had one of my friends who was basically out of the market for 2 years, and then that's it. He was done. Like he couldn't get back, like get into data science because it was out for such a long time. And now he ended up enrolling for a PhD. But that's the only option that I could see. For me, it took 8 months, like I mentioned before. But for me, I started as soon as I figured that I don't want to stay in academia and I want to go into industry. That's the day I started applying for jobs. And I had a year until my graduation. So I took 8 months of my time to actually apply for jobs, go through interviews and so on, right? And so right after my graduation, I had a job, but I had an 8 month of struggle right before graduation. So that's the thing. So if you're out of the market, it's the same journey as someone who's trying to break into data science. So I would say again, work on projects, have a portfolio ready, and the other thing is try and find an internship. Okay? Even if it's paid or unpaid, doesn't matter. Like what you require is an experience. So try and apply at startups. Right? There are tons of startups. So you're trying to apply at startups. Try and connect with people on LinkedIn, and don't just apply on LinkedIn. Reach out to people on LinkedIn. That's how I landed my jobs, like all the jobs that I've been into. So reach out to people. Not everyone will reply. I've probably messaged thousands of people. Out of that, probably 50 of them replied. So not every single person is going to reply, but keep reaching out to people. And I guess you're in India, if I'm not wrong. If that's the case, then so I think in India right now, data science is like at the beginning level, right? A lot of companies know the value of data science now. And so now a lot of companies are hiring data scientists and they're offering internships, right? So I would say like start applying for internships. And yeah, like keep doing projects. And how should I prepare a resume? We could portfolio website. So you can, create projects, right? A resume. I think we already went over the resume, how to prepare a resume, and what should be in your resume. We'll send these slides if you fill out the form. We'll send you the slides as well. And GitHub profile. So GitHub profile per project have a single repository, and like keep using repository for every single project, right? Because there's a timeline on repository, right? And people like recruiters can see the timeline on your repository and how often you use. And that's an important skill to have. The GitHub, it's one of the most important skills to have, right? And no matter if you're data science or software, right? So keep on doing projects, keep on pushing it to GitHub, and then create a GitHub page and display every single project that you have done. And then for the data science part, I would say pick a project where at the end you are creating a dashboard, right? Because that's the whole point of doing data science, because you want to solve a business problem. And then thanks for attending, Aditi. And yeah, just meet people. That's the best way.
Yeah, I think Pradeep, if you are already doing the projects, then I think you are proficient in Python and SQL, I assume. And just keep your GitHub updated and just start applying. You never know what is there for you, right? So just start applying to the roles that you are comfortable with. And even if you don't meet all the requirements, then also just apply.
So I just had a message from someone on LinkedIn that they couldn't attend the second part of the presentation. Because I think what happened is when we can discuss this after, but I'm just sending the link to that person if they still want to attend for Q&A. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, thank you for attending. Someone?
Hi, Shubham.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, we have to switch over to Google Meet, and
I just copied the link, but unfortunately, like I couldn't open the link.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I think that's why we missed a lot of people. But yeah, sorry about the.
So, what you covered in the second part of the presentation, just can you brief me,
So basically, it was all about how do you create your resume, how do you start applying, and how do you prepare for your interview in general. That's what was covered.
Yeah. So for the second part, briefly.
exactly from here only.
Yeah. So just briefly, just to iterate on what he went through it. Just how to apply jobs on LinkedIn, right? And just to provide insights, basically, if you apply for any job, right, go find the people who work at that company, or if you can see basically a job poster recruiter, add that person, reach out to that person, right, or reach out to the people who work at the company, right, and then message them, see if they're interested, right. So that's the first approach that you should take. And the second approach is there's lots of find out about right? If the company is right for you, what does the company do? What kind of products the company works on? How big is their team, and so on, right? And then you can ask for referral or connect with the hiring manager, and so on, right? So I feel if you wanna take over, you can. So I think we have one kid who missed as well. He couldn't open the link, so I guess we can spend 5-10 minutes on that. So let's just share the screen.
Or Ankit, if you have any questions on, so if you are confused about how do you start applying or how do you start with your resume, or so if anything, I think you should just ask. So we can cover that part specifically.
Yeah.
Okay, so after that, after resume preparation, what you all covered, that was the end, or anything else extra you covered, apart from applying to jobs and all, anything extra you covered? Just wanted to know,
just basics of the interview.
Okay, so here's a resume. So for the resume, again, I'll just quickly go through that. So for resume, have a single page resume. It's always a good thing to have, because sometimes it's the company who reads the resume, but sometimes it's the software who scans your resume, right? And you don't need to provide every single detail in your resume. So for a project you're doing, you don't need to write 10 or 15 lines about what you did in the project, right? Just have the key metrics for the project, right? So that's an important thing to have, because when you go for an interview, they'll ask you in detail, and that's when you can share the details, right? And then create a portfolio, right? So on GitHub, you can create a GitHub page, right? And then have display your projects, dashboards, and everything on that portfolio, right? You can share a link, you can deploy the dashboards and provide a link in the portfolio, right? So that's something you can put in your resume.
have question like what I am applying in data science jobs, but I'm getting a rejection like they are going with some other candidate, like that of comments. So my background is kind of electrical, and I have some experience in my last previous company, but not that much to a data science role, but it was a kind of a ML role. So when I apply, so they say like, unfortunately, we are moving with some other candidate.
So you said you have experience about the ML. What were you doing?
So it was a kind of a project, like it was a development project on like a text classification kind of project.
Okay. Yeah. So a lot of companies would like to see more of the projects. If you're applying for data scientist role, then like actual data science projects that you would have done. And I think the best if you're getting rejections, like one thing is to ask the companies if they can provide feedback. Right?
So what can I say? Like, can I directly reach out in LinkedIn, or rather than applying in the applying in the our company website?
So you can do both again, because sometimes what happens is you can reach out on LinkedIn, right? To know more detail about what do they look for in the interview, right? And then connect with the people who work at that company as a data scientist, right? And then take some insights from them, right? But obviously, they'll still ask you to apply through the website. But because you reached out on LinkedIn, right, they would know you, right? So when you apply, they know that someone did reach out on LinkedIn, and then when they see your resume, right, they know that they have spoken to you. So that kind of takes you to a next level with someone who didn't reach out and just applied online, but had the same level of experience, right? That's the most important thing. And people engage, right? People engage a lot on LinkedIn, and if you can, create posts, share your projects, and so on. If you can sell yourself, right, on LinkedIn, then you're gonna get a lot of interview calls, and you're gonna get a job, right?
Yeah. So
If you don't sell yourself, then people don't know you, right? And also, if you don't have any projects to show, like text classification, that doesn't mean anything to me if I'm a hiring manager, right? Because text classification, it's a whole NLP, right?
yeah. Okay. So no. I'm saying like it's related to that. Like,
So break down the details, break down about, and if you don't have experience on the data science side, you can make up something, right? You can try and connect the dots on the ML side because you already work in that field, right? So you can try and connect the dots as to, okay, I was in the deployment side, right? And I was getting the models from a data scientist, right? So what was the process that the data scientist was going through, and so on, right? So you can connect those dots, and you can actually do something since you already have the model, right? You can create a project yourself, and then have that in your resume, right? So
yeah, I have included I have included 4 projects which I did earlier, but those are like basic projects related forecasting model and like kind of fraud analysis. Then Tableau. Those 3-4 models are like projects I have included. But even though I am getting rejected, like I don't know, like why, because of my educational background, or is it like I don't know.
I think
I
how
mean,
you
sorry, go ahead.
I think how you present the projects on your resume also matters a lot. So I think you can work on improving the resume, and also how it works in most of the companies here is uh, just first reach out to the current employees and ask them for a referral before you apply on the website. right? So if you already applied on the company website, they can't give you a referral before.
That I got to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I reach out to them first, then then I should apply after their suggestion.
Right. Yeah. And also, I can share my resume from a while back. So if you can get some tips on how to present the projects in your resume, I'll share the link.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, can you just fill that form? I've put it in the chat. I'll send it there.
One second.
Any other questions people have?
No, I am fine now.
I think Shakira, I think you're speaking, but we cannot hear you.
Yeah. Anything else? I would say thank you for now.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah. Okay, any other questions, guys?
Hi Mitul, Ankit here.
Hey.
Thank you.
Yeah, so my question is that actually I am from non-technical background and I have total 7 year experience in investment banking operations like that Citibank, Citco corporations and Morgan Stanley, where I was already worked with them for operational activities. But now I am looking some career in data science role or data analytics role. So it would be a fit for me after 7 years of experience with operational activities to move on in these technologies or this domain?
So I would say, since we have a lot, okay, so banking, right, big sector, big money, and since you're in investment banking, there's a lot of data science that's going on in banking. So since you already have the expertise, right, because any sector you go into as a data scientist, you would have to learn about the business, right? If you're working in retail, you're gonna have to know about what's going on in retail. Since you already worked in banking for such a long time, you already know things in banking, right? And now banks are hiring data scientists. So if you can get hold of data science role in your own sector, then that's gonna help you a lot. And like getting into an analytics background, yeah, it's gonna be a good career. Combining it with whatever experience you had before. Does that answer your question? Does that make sense?
Yeah, got it. So for the learning purpose of that technology domain, would I want to join some institute or is it or need to be go with a self model piece studies program, which would be better for me?
Okay, so for the data, if you're brand new to data science, if you have never coded before, so I would say the first thing you have to do is learn to code and take up some classes on Udemy or Coursera or on Coursera. I don't know if you know Coursera. I'll just type the name in the chat. On Coursera, there's Facebook is offering a Python course. I've taken it recently because I wanted to see how it is, and a friend of mine was taking it, so I was just helping him out. So we took it together, and that course is really good to help you get started. But along with that, I would say YouTube and so on, Udemy and so on. So first, learn Python. Now, once you learn Python, learn about data science. Right? Learn a little bit about data science. What is data science, right? Just learn the basics. You don't need to know the detail, just the basics. So again, you can take a course for that. Learn the basics, but don't spend a lot of time just doing courses because it's not gonna if you take 10 course or if you take 20 course, the amount of things you're going to learn, about 90% of it, it's going to be the same, like same content. Maybe there's 10% difference because there was one new thing that you will learn in another course that you didn't in the other one, right? But again, that's just how it is with every single thing. If you take a degree from a Delhi university or a Mumbai university, again, there's going to be a few things that's been taught differently, right? But at the end of the day, it's the same education you're getting, right? So don't spend a lot of time just doing courses. Once you know the basics, jump onto doing projects. And that's what, like me and Ashit, we are planning on doing after a couple of months. We are planning on having, take 3 to 4 people and have them work with us on a project where we will we know that code every single thing for you, but rather we're going to guide you, right? We're going to guide you how to start a problem, right? Get hold of the data, to doing data science, to deployment. But it's going to be you who's going to do the entire project. Because if we tell you, every single thing, then it's going to make your life easy and you're not going to learn anything, right? It's the same thing as going online and taking courses where they tell you exactly the instructions for solving an assignment. We don't want that, right? So we want you to solve the problem, but we are here to guide, right? And do the code review and help you in, how should this be coded or how should this be formatted, or, you have to follow the software engineering principles. So we'll tell you, okay, this needs to be in this way and so on, right? So there are a lot of things that, you still have to learn, which are not taught by the courses. So in the process, you're going to learn a lot of things, like how do you go collect data? So you learn about web scraping or something, right? And then the next thing would be like, how do you do the actual data science? Then you would learn about going from doing the analysis, right? And then the next thing is, how do you convert that into a software, right? That can be hosted somewhere, right? You can put it into production. So we'll teach you how to do that, right? And in doing that, we'll teach you a number of tools. How do you write tests for your code to find bugs in your code, right? And then how do you deploy it, right? And then how do you build dashboards? And then how do you monitor it, right? So a single project, but 10 different things to learn. And that can last for a couple of months, 2 to 3 months, a single project, right? That's how it is in reality when you work in a company. The project lasts for a couple of months. So that's the thing that we will be doing. But again, since we just started this whole idea about doing people, it's going to take us a couple of months to come up with the projects. So until then,
Thanks, Mitul, for resolve my query. Thanks.
Yeah, I think I have something to add to it also. Since Ankit, you already have the subject matter expertise in your domain, I think that is also something what's missing from data science these days. So a lot of people just learn how to code, but they don't get into the subject matter, right? So I think if you could, at your own company, if you could start interacting with the data science people, I think that would be a good start.
Yeah, we have some teams, but not seated in our current locations. They were seated in on-site or something. So that's the reason we don't have that much knowledge or connecting with those people. That's why I'm looking for outside the people who are helping with me on that domain.
Right, right.
Yeah, definitely. I will look something in my organization also. And if is there any question, definitely I will reach out to you guys on LinkedIn later.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, and like I said, if you're learning, and then again, if you wanna do some projects and so on, yeah, you can feel free. When we start doing it, you can come join us. And again, if you want to see how to apply data science in your own sector, the only thing will be, getting hold of banks' data. It's difficult, and also privacy, right? So, if there's any open source data of banks, and then we can do some data science on that, so that you can see how it works. And I think I'm just, again, I don't know about in the Indian market because I don't stay there. But here banks hire a lot of data scientists. So I know that there's a lot going on in banks. And in India, I think the banks are realizing that, and that I think they're opening up roles, but I don't know how, at what stage it is. Or if any, if a lot of banks actually do data science, right? So that's something that you could research. Here, I know a lot of banks do that. So, yeah.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? So I think we'll wrap up in 5 minutes if anyone has any questions, because we were planning on doing it for 1 hour, we lasted for 2 hours. So.
So, Shakira, do you have any questions? You are on mute.
Okay, so I think if there are no questions, I think we'll wrap up here. Thank you guys for attending the session and for all your questions. And yeah, good luck in your journey. And yeah, reach out. We'll be doing more sessions coming up. We'll be inviting speakers. So that's going to be the thing for the next 2 months. And yeah, so stay updated on LinkedIn. We'll have posts on LinkedIn. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for your valuable times and valuable knowledge. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you guys. Thanks for your time as well. Thanks, Shakira. Okay.